So the next God of War could have potentially had its settings leaked, and we'll talk about the time frame for its release as well. That's the story we're going to cover today, and if you could hit that like button on the video, thank you to those that do it, and as always, it's very much appreciated. First, yes or no, have you finished God of War Ragnarok or not? I've asked this question before, but some of you seem to be on the way to finish it, so let's see the updated results now. We're going to be talking about the next game today, but who finished the last one? So comment below yes or no if you've finished God of War Ragnarok or not. Let me know down in the comments below. Now diving into the main story of the video, the next God of War setting, and then we'll dive into the time frame for its potential release. So this is going to be a quick video. I didn't want to wait until tomorrow. I'm pretty excited about this topic, if it has or holds any water, I guess. Reading from Insider Gaming, the next God of War game could be making its way to Egypt, according to a report from Daniel RPK behind his Patreon wall, as Sony is casting currently for Middle Eastern actors for a new game. Sony is casting Middle Eastern actors for an unknown AAA game, which is likely to be the next God of War that explores Egyptian mythology, the report says. It's important to note that this information hasn't been confirmed or independently verified by Insider Gaming. Until that happens, please take this news with a grain of salt. Moving to Egyptian mythology wouldn't be surprising should it happen. The God of War saga began in Greek mythology before shifting to Norse for the modern games. Moving to a new pantheon would make sense for the next era of the franchise. As far as Egyptian specifically, it's been mentioned in the past that Sony Santa Monica originally considered the game around Egyptian mythology for the 2018 revival before settling on Norse. So as the article states, Egyptian mythos was what they were originally going to do for the God of War series going forward. We even have concept art for that, I believe, as well, but the choice ended up being Norse. The thing about the Egyptian aspect was that it was made into a comic series, God of War, the Fallen God, and I've looked into those myself. They are very vague and barely have any story to tell and don't really even say how Kratos ended up in the Norse realm. My theory for a while has been that Sony made those comics to hype up Ragnarok's release, which is obviously the case because that's what they used it for, but then they also wanted to keep it vague enough so that if they wanted to, they could go back to this realm and explore that story further. Now, there are two paths to this story if it ends up happening, either, of course, before Ragnarok or after Ragnarok. Now, for me personally, I prefer before Ragnarok and actually want them to explore what happened between God of War 3 and God of War 2018. Imagine if the next game starts right after God of War 3 and we see Kratos on a new engine and how he looked right after God of War 3, and that explores, what happened between that area, and that story could be very interesting because Kratos was on a mission to let go of the Blades of Chaos. That could be a very emotional story that's told, and it's between God of War 3 and 2018. I would love to see that personally. This would also be a chance to change up the gameplay to maybe have a mesh of God of War 3 gameplay and maybe transition it a bit to God of War 2018, just a blend between the two. But the only reason I think that might not be the case, and it'll probably align closer to the new God of War games, is because of the job listings we've had over the last year, going back into even 2023. These job listings have been actively looking for someone with experience and knowledge in the combat system for God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, so it seems like it'll align more to those games as opposed to what we had before with God of War 3. The studio has been actively working on something God of War related, and we know that from the listings. Some believe this could be an Atreus spinoff where he goes to find the giants. Obviously, if you finished Ragnarok, you know what that's all about. Or what most hope is that this is for the next mainline God of War game focused on Kratos. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. As for the timeline of release, if they're hiring for actors now, then I would assume this is maybe for the pre-production phase of the game based off what I'm reading online. And considering they've been working on something God of War related for over a year now, then I would assume this is probably a 2028 game if it's a mainline God of War game. If it's something smaller, then that would obviously come out earlier. If Sony revealed this game like they did God of War Ragnarok, then we'd hear about it sometime next year. But considering Sony doesn't reveal games until they're closer to launch, we probably won't hear about this game 2 years before launch like we did with God of War Ragnarok. It'll probably be sometime in 2027 at the earliest, which would make it maybe 4 years in development by that time. This would also make this game a cross-generational game, pretty much in that situation. Same situation as God of War Ragnarok, because if it releases in 2028, that's the time frame when the next PlayStation console releases, 2027, 2028. So this game would most likely be a cross-generational game. Let's see how this develops, of course. We know they're working on something God of War related based off the job listings, but this Egyptian aspect is just a rumor for now. An interesting rumor, but just a rumor for now. But you guys let me know if you want God of War to take place in Egypt next or not. Let me know down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button and join our growing community on our way to 150,000 subscribers. And now I'll check you guys out on the next one. And welcome back to the after show. This is the part of the video where we have a little fun down in the comments below. If you're old, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. For today's thing, what I want you guys to do is to body, obliterate, destroy, and overall harass the comment section with bring on more Kratos. Now, for me personally, I would like a new Kratos game. Of course, if they release an Atreus game, I'll play it. I'm a fan of God of War. But for me, God of War is Kratos. I need another Kratos title. If you want another Kratos-focused game, destroy the comment section with bring on more Kratos. And I'll definitely heart those comments like I always do, because I appreciate everybody who stays at the end of my videos. And now, I'll check you guys out on the next one.